right. Well, hello. It must be a special day today. I'm wondering what it is. Oh my God, I think a few of you got the memo. Look at that. Oh, it's terrific. It's that wonderful time of year where kids dress up in costume, pretending they're somebody else, and apparently adults do too. We want some fun too. We want to experience this fun. All right? Some of us like to watch scary movies. Kids go door to door saying trick or treat, hoping for the treat, right? But sometimes they have to walk through front yards that are filled with scary skeletons and ghoulish figures and giant spiders and witches, right? They got to walk through that in order to get to the treat, And so, just when we think that this holiday is like quintessentially American, we know that, in fact, it is borrowed from many other cultures. So first and foremost, it's that Celtic holiday festival of Samhain, where it marks the midpoint of the year, where the days are getting smaller, shorter, and darker. We're noticing that, right? So they celebrate it with big bonfires, and it makes sense, adding more light into the world. And in ancient times, they used to go to the burial mounds, open the burial mounds, believing that they were opening a door to the other world, where they could just more easily communicate with the spirit of their loved ones. Right? And, I was talking a little bit about this last year, and our resident Celtic expert, Michael Newton, right? All things Celtic. He said, it used to be that people would dress up in that culture, dress up in costume, and go door to door reciting verses in exchange for food. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'll bet those verses were a little more poetic than trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. But who knows? Maybe that's where it started. It's also in part borrowed from the Mexican tradition of Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead. And in some in that culture dress in skeletons or paint themselves as skeletons, and they walk in a parade, some do, to cemeteries where they feel, because this time of year the veil is really thin between this world and the next, so they feel that this is the opportune time to communicate with loved ones. And then some also build an altar or ofrendas, which we have a little nod to over here today, which is a special time to honor loved ones with pictures. Sometimes they put their favorite foods, and the marigolds. And the marigolds are believed, because of their strong fragrance and their strong color, they're believed to awaken the spirit within their loved ones. And the day ends usually with a celebration of special foods and special treats. So it's definitely and I probably do need to say also that, the church, as it does, Christianized these pagan holidays, and took some of the aspects of it, repackaged it, and sold it back to them, and said, we're going to call this All Saints' Day, and then followed by All Souls' Day. So it is not uniquely ours, but what makes it uniquely American is that we have commercialized this holiday that was originally meant to communicate with the spirit of our loved ones. It has become a huge retail day. Oh my God, huge. And it kind of begins the whole cycle of holiday spending, right? Capitalism. It's what we do so well. So let's get back to this idea of trick or treat. So we, of course, are always hoping for the treat. But again, sometimes we have to walk through some scary places, some scary challenges in order to get to that treat, right? Which, when you think about it, is a lot like life, isn't it? Very often it seems that we need to go through challenges in order to get to what we want, in order to realize more of our blessings, realize the fullness of who we are. It seems that we have to sometimes walk through a scary landscape in order to get to the good stuff, you know? So, but it's interesting because we all love a good drama, right? We all love a good drama. And one of my favorite movies of this time of year is Nightmare Before Christmas. And it says right in the title, right? You got to go through the nightmare in order to get to the good stuff at Christmas. And I was actually working at Disney Studios when there was a version of it, kind of a student film kind of version of this wonderkin, Tim Burton, who brought this in. It came in. They screened it for all of us, and we all loved it. I mean, it was, you know, we all recognized how brilliant it was. The executives were like, we recognize the brilliance, but how are we going to sell this? You know, it's too weird, too scary for kids. And, of course, it's animation, so what adult is going to go see that? So I think they originally passed. Maybe they bought it back or something, and now it's a classic. And, in fact, in the parks, the Haunted Mansion, they turned that into Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, any play or book or movie has got to have enough drama in order to make it compelling. Otherwise, you're just going to, you know, get bored and turn it off or leave, right? You've got to be at the edge of your seat, and heart pounding, or scared senseless, or, you know, it doesn't work, right? We can't relate to movies where everything goes really smoothly and everything is, you know, nice and harmonious and nothing ever happens. I mean, can you imagine a movie where, you know, two people meet, fall in love immediately, stay in love, get married, and live happily ever after? You know, first of all, it would never get made. Secondly, you know, you'd just be so bored waiting for something to happen. So think about that for a minute. Think about that. It's interesting, right? It's interesting that we need some kind of a challenge. You know, maybe we say we want peaceful lives where everything goes smoothly and there's a lot of harmony and an anxious-free life, but do we really? Some people thrive in challenge, right? And they feel like their skills and their intelligence are being utilized. And there's a sense of purpose, right? Solving problems. We know that, right? And now some people take it in a different direction. They come at it from a little different way, and it's like they don't feel alive unless there's a lot of drama in their lives, and if there isn't any, they find it. I know, I have a daughter like that. Ooh, she has a lot of drama. So, and always did, always will. And so my husband and I just nudged her, I think, into the correct profession of acting, you know. Get that girl on stage. That's where she belongs. You know, and we probably all know someone, maybe a relative, who loves to call and complain about something. There's always something going on. They're always complaining. If not, they'll find it and they'll love to share about that. So it's interesting, this whole thing about drama. Now, most of us here, I think, would prefer a little less drama, right? Particularly now in this country, a little less drama in this election cycle, right? Whew, it's a little anxiety-provoking, right? But here we are, in the midst of it. Here we are, and boy, is it compelling. But the question is, how does our divine self see this? Remember, we're both human and divine. Right? We talked about a few weeks ago. We're 100% human and 100% divine. And both aspects of us serve an important purpose. So the question is, how does our divine self see it? And what is our divine self wanting us to know, to call forth, to do, to say, to be in this time? Because what I know, and what I invite you to consider, is that maybe the drama, the challenges are here to help us awaken to our divinity. Maybe the challenges are here, the human challenges, so that we can awaken to our divinity. Because every time a challenge comes along, it's an invitation to us to reach for something within, right? To meet it, to call for something within ourselves that can help us realize our spiritual power, that can realize our wholeness, can realize more fully our spiritual power, and who knows, maybe share some love, maybe share some divine light. You see, we've been tricked. We've been tricked into believing that we're separate from each other, separate from the whole, from source, separate from our good. We've been tricked into believing that we're limited, that we don't have enough, that we're broken, that we're not enough. And the drama pulls us even more fully into that trick, right? The trick of essentially believing we're victims of the world. But on the other side of that trick is the treat, the goodies, the spiritual growth, the becoming more fully realized, the experience of full joy, the experience of being empowered so that maybe we can help others. So last weekend we had a special guest speaker and a retreat, Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsitt, who was here to share about affirmative prayer. We did an affirmative prayer weekend, right? And when she was talking about affirmative prayer, what I was hearing was that the activity of affirmative prayer is really about discovering and calling forth an aspect of our spiritual power. And when we embrace that becomes the answer to prayer. That is the thing that carries us through the challenge. That is the thing that awakens us from the nightmare of separation and gets us to the other side where the good is waiting for us. The peace, the joy, the healed relationships, the experience of wholeness, the strength, the power, the courage, the wisdom, the insight, all of that, etc., etc., etc. Right? That is the whole purpose of affirmative prayer. And so I invite you to see whatever challenge you are facing in your life is an opportunity, first and foremost, to have compassion for yourself. First and foremost, to have compassion for yourself. And secondly, as an opportunity to discover a quality, a spiritual quality that will help you realize the fullness of who you are. A spiritual quality that's seeking to be revealed through you and in your life. Our wholeness is always seeking to be revealed to us in our lives in so many different ways. Challenge is one of them, right? I'm beginning to see that all of the challenges that occur in my life is an opportunity to activate a specific quality that helps me realize my wholeness. And let me tell you, it's kind of changing the way I see things. So I'll share with you, because you're my spiritual family, right? I'll share with you that last week, I had this kind of issue going on where I had this part of my skin that started off as a scratch, and then it just wasn't healing. It just wasn't healing. It was going on for a while, and so when I finally went to the dermatologist to do the annual scan, and then they looked at that, and they were a little concerned, and so they did a biopsy, and then they posted the results on the mic chart. You all have this mic chart thing? It wasn't called by a doctor. Just looked at this on the mic chart, and it said invasive squamous cell carcinoma. So skin cancer that has gone beyond the first layer of the skin. I freaked out. I freaked out several hours, probably that whole day. And then, as synchronicity would have it, we were having the affirmative prayer retreat that weekend. And my prayer partner prayed with me about this. We all broke up in prayer partners. I asked, and my prayer partner prayed with me about this. And when she did, I just got this feeling of peace, this deep peace, and an awareness that there were qualities, specific qualities that I am to call forth now in my life. That in fact, the situation is here so that I can call forth these qualities. And the first one is love, that particularly self-love. I just got that I'm to put my hand over my heart and just send myself love. Just love myself, my body, as fully as possible. The second thing is because it's kind of close to the throat chakra, right? Or if you're following Unity, Charles Fillmore, the 12 powers, it's that power of power. It's very similar, right? A power of power, that's ability to speak our truth, and to own our words. And for me, in particular, to own my words. To speak my truth, yes, and to own my words. And I'm like, what is that? Well, what I say here can have a big impact in people's lives. I know that because they've told me. But I've never really owned that. I never really let that sink in. So maybe it's time for me to own that and really be selective with what I'm saying. So these two qualities are calling out to me to call forth in this time. And just to, circle back and complete this story. So I finally did talk to the doctor, and I'm just to go in and do, take out some tissue. They make sure the margins are clear, and that's it. And, probably leave me with a scar. But every time I see that scar, I'm going to think, aha, love yourself. Love yourself, right? So I invite you to think about a challenge in your life right now. Whatever challenge, scary challenge that you are facing in your life right now. And think about that. And if it's helpful, you can close your eyes and really just choose one. And it can be It could be personal, or if it's really weighing heavy on you, this whole election cycle, this whole thing, I invite you to work with that. Whatever it is for you. And just explore. Just bring it to mind. And now, open and allow that divine wisdom within you. That divine source of all wisdom, which is right here in your very being, that divine wisdom. Open to that and have it reveal to you what specific quality or qualities are yours to realize, to embody, to activate right now. And I'm going to, just to sort of stimulate the ideas, I'm going to call forth, I'm going to just read through. Most of these are the 12 powers, and then some. So if any of these resonate with you, or it might be something completely different, right? So could be faith, conviction, something realized there. Maybe it's understanding, clarity, insight, acceptance. Maybe it's the power of choice, which is our power of will, commitment. Is it imagination, vision? Could it be enthusiasm, audacity? Is it self-mastery, self-authority? Could it be love, harmony, forgiveness? Maybe it's wisdom, discernment, intuition. Could it be strength, courage, tenacity? Is it order, organization? Maybe it's release, that beautiful image of releasing the leaves, trusting that process. Is it life, vitality, wholeness? Maybe it's joy, gratitude, peace. Maybe it's abundance and worthiness of having abundance. Worthiness. Take a deep breath. And it could be something else. These are just ideas to stimulate the process. All right, and open your eyes. Come on back. So identifying, discovering, embracing that quality will help you walk through the trick, right? The trick, remember, of separation, of limitation, of brokenness, of not enoughness. Walk through that trick and get to the other side where the treat is. The awareness of our oneness with each other. The awareness of our divine wholeness. The experience of our divine wholeness. So, happy Halloween. Namaste.